Hi, everyone. I'm David Smith from No Kill, Colorado. You're visiting No Kill in Motion. Today, I have with me Aubrie Kavanaugh from No Kill Huntsville, Shirley Marsh from Yes Biscuit, Alan Rosenberg from the New Jersey Animal Observer. I wanted to talk about the last 10%, right? I should say first that no kill is not about saving 90% of animals. We hear this over and over, and it's the low water mark. We know every open admission shelter can save 90% or more of animals. No kill is about saving every healthy or treatable pet. Aubrie, you wrote something interesting about Christopher McFall. He was talking about a killing budget, which is that last 10% is where that is. And I want to ask you more about that. But I did want to mention a pyramid that was made by Ellen Jefferson. It was probably like a decade ago. And that pyramid, right, the base of the pyramid, it was about animals that are adopted out or animals that come into the shelter. And the bottom is healthy puppies and kittens, right? We know those are easy to get out. Then we have healthy adult animals that are also easy to get out. Then you get the ones with minor issues that we need to deal with. And then that last part, the tip of the pyramid, right, are animals that are a little harder. They may have more behavioral issues. They may have more severe medical issues. And they're the ones that we should be concentrating on, right? They're the last 10%. So Aubrie, I'm going to start with you because you just wrote about this. I want you to talk about the killing budget and what that means and what we're looking at.
Well, we've not to belabor the 90% point. We've talked about that at length, and that's not the measure of a no-kill community. And we know where that number came from. And I think that to this day, Nathan probably regrets even mentioning it because, there were reasons at the time to set some type of benchmark. But what that's left us with is we have shelters that are focused very much on that 90%. So that last 10% of animals, in a way, for those places that are more focused on the math than on the method, that last 10% of animals becomes almost expendable. And Christopher McFall, who is married to Eileen McFall, they are both advocates in the Austin area. He had written something on a Facebook page called Hound Manor, and he referred to something called the killing budget. And the way he described it was after you reach that 90%, well, for a lot of shelter directors that are not genuinely committed to the philosophies of no kill, that last 10% is what he calls their killing budget. Meaning that those are the animals that, well, they'll try a little bit to save them, but if they're too much work, if their length of stay is too long, if they present poorly in the shelter, they're harder to place, they would take more marketing, they would take more effort, that some shelter directors view those animals as part of a budget of animals that they can destroy, while at the same time saying, well, but wait, I met my 90%. I thought it was a perfect phrase. And having said that, thinking back to that pyramid, there should be no killing budget. We know that this is about saving healthy and treatable animals. And I would argue that because those animals lower on the pyramid essentially adopt out themselves, they are the easier placements, whether it's adoption or whether rescue groups take them, that it's that last 10% that we should be focusing on the most, because we know that they're going to take the most work. I think ethically that becomes our obligation. There should be no killing budget, and we should be focused on those that are hardest to place.
You made me think of there was legislation that we just fought in Colorado, HB 211120, just last year. It did go through, but it was changed effectively because what it was trying to do was it was basically saying we should put our money towards safe and healthy pets. It was saying, that's what shelters need to be saving. And I didn't realize it until now, but literally they were saying, because those others don't matter. And that's what we were trying to say to them. And actually thinking about this conversation, I almost wish we had this conversation back then because it gave me a different way of actually saying it just now. Alan, what do you think about this last 10%?
Well, I think it's true. I recall 9 years ago when I was volunteering briefly on the board of a shelter that was supposedly a true no-kill shelter in a sense that they didn't really kill anything. They had other problems that were related to animal care, but the director at the board president at the time said to me, well, why can't we just kill a bunch of these dogs and still stay at a 90 or 95% live release rate? Will still be no kill. And I was shocked. I was like, that's not no kill. I mean, no kill is a culture. It's respect for life culture. And, when I've looked at shelters data, and I've looked at a lot of shelters data, it's very clear when a shelter is at 90% or even 95%, they're still not a no kill, at least for dogs. At the in the low 90% range, for example, when I did an analysis of shelters like Pima Animal Care Center and Casey Pet Project. Casey Pet Project was at a 92% dog live release rate, and they were still killing lots of dogs for animal aggression, arousal. Even Pima Animal Care, I think, was at 94%, and they were still killing a lot of animals for animal aggression, which in my opinion should almost never happen. I mean, we saw with the Michael Vick case that almost every dog that has dog aggression can be saved or at least managed or rehabilitated. So I think the last 10%, we really need to push. I think on the cat side, it's a little harder because cats get more easily injured by cars. We often get young kittens that really, really get sick. But on the dog side, I really think that a live release rate of really at this point in time of 97% or higher really is required for no kill unless there's some really extenuating circumstances. So I think right now, like I'm seeing so many regressive shelters in my area in the 90 or even 95% range, but we know they're still killing healthy and treatable animals, or at least healthy and treatable dogs. So 90% is your grandfather's no kill level. It no longer applies.
What I think is interesting, you reminded me, because I look at your statistics all the time, and if you don't look at New Jersey Animal Observer, you should actually see the research that Alan does. Is when you start breaking it down, right? First of all, there's one number, is how what's the percentage of animals saved, and that's all animals together. And dogs are generally higher in most shelters. So therefore, it makes the cat one look better, right? Because they're 93%, but you find out they're 85 with cats and they're 98 with dogs, something like that. Then you take it a step further. I've seen you do it where it's adult dogs, puppies, adult cats, kittens, and the world changes again, right? And it's really important for us to look at that, because you can reach, this is why the percentage doesn't matter, is because you can reach that percentage by using the numbers whatever way you want. You can show different.
You can transport easy to adopt puppies in, and right. You can have an animal control contract, kill all the local adult dogs, and bring a whole bunch of puppies in, and kind of cheat your way up to a 90+% live release rate for animals, which is a farce because you're still killing animals. So I mean, I always tell advocates, go look at the animals they euthanize and the reasons for doing so. That's the quickest way to see if a shelter is really no kill, as opposed to a live release rate.
All right, let's move on. Shirley. So we're talking about the last 10%. Actually, I'm just going to open it to you. I think we heard a lot here. What do you think of this?
I'm thinking about how when the pandemic started, so many shelters went to this completely changed and, in my mind, wrong model of animal sheltering, where they were leaving animals on the streets, or whatever, putting it on the finder to do something with them, and taking in only the most cases, the most difficult, I guess, cases where they couldn't leave the animal for some sort of public safety issue. I mean, a dog who's been hit on the highway and is going to cause a traffic hazard, or whatever the different circumstances are that they are limiting their intake to, and so many shelters seem to still be following that same model even now. And to me, I just think they are basically only taking in a lot of cases that last 10%. So they really should be using all of the resources that they have to save as many of those that they possibly can. There's just no excuse for limiting your intake so severely as so many have been, and still killing animals.
You know, it's an interesting thought. I remember a conversation I had with a shelter director a while ago saying, well, you don't realize that, you know, now we're taking more of the hard animals than we used to, and they were driving towards the 90% argument on that one, like 90% is too high, which actually it could be in a certain shelter that literally has, you know, I don't know, found a way for all the healthy ones or something. They're going through rescues and the shelter is becoming more of a medical facility or something like that. You may see that number change, but you could still be no kill, right? If you took care of every healthy or treatable and you dedicated the money to that, like you said, Shirley. Actually, I really like that thought. That's something we should talk about sometime, because that could change in some places, and we need to get rid of that 90% moniker.
I mean, I want to push back on that. I mean, in New Jersey, we've had declining intake for years, and the dog live release rate has continued to increase. I believe, as Shirley was mentioning before, I think the offset to, okay, we're getting more difficult animals in, is that you now have more time, money, and resources per animal to save them. So I will never give a shelter a pass because, oh, well, we're getting harder animals. Now we can kill 30-40% of the dogs.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't give them a
way.
pass.
I'm not gonna, I don't buy that argument.
You know, I'm saying if shelter intake, and that we're nowhere near that, but if shelter intake became a thing where you literally only get that last 10%, and you save.
But David, we're already having shelters do that here. Like, there's many parts of my state where they really are only basically getting those kind of animals. So, I mean, I get the theory, the argument, but I'm extremely skeptical when regressive directors bring that argument up, because I know what they're getting at.
Right. And I mean, I actually definitely opposed what the gist of it was you need to lighten up. Right. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not lightening up. I understand where you're going, but you're not there anyway. That's not really what you're bringing in my opinion. They're not bringing that in today. But thanks for that. That was great, Alan. We're out of time. Thank you for joining us today. This was No Kill in Motion. I'm Davyd Smith with No Kill Colorado, Aubrie Kavanaugh with No Kill Huntsville, Shirley Marsh, Yes Biscuit, and Alan Rosenberg with the New Jersey Animal Observer. We'll be back next time. Thanks for coming.